It's been at least an hour.
You know, Friday the 13th is a summer movie.
It is.
It's
June,
all
right?
about the summertime. But you know, it's a summer camp.
It is.
Thank you so much for being here, everybody. It's the 46th anniversary of Friday the 13th this year. Can you believe it?
No.
46. Jason Voorhees is here. How many people were at the first Jason show last night?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Jason Voorhees got on the stage and we were singing, Voorhees is the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, not to get out of the moment or anything. Were you going to ask a question?
I was going to ask you a question. You know, we'll talk about Friday, of course. But I normally like to ask people what their acting journey is. But for you, I would love to know your musical journey. How did that love start for you?
Well, what happened was, okay, the same reason that I am in Friday the 13th is because I just happened to grow up in a town called Westport, Connecticut. And that is where Sean Cunningham, for some reason, had his studios in Westport, Connecticut. And Westport, Connecticut back then in the 70s was a very kind of artsy community, you know, just outside New York. So I also met a piano teacher who was an amazing piano teacher, and she just realized that I had the skill to improvise and that I could play jazz piano. Who knew? For some reason, I had this capability. So then I got drafted into the University of Bridgeport Jazz Orchestra. This is back when they had big band jazz, and that was part of college programs. So Bill Finnegan had a big band program in Bridgeport. So they would hire me, they would just get me from high school to go and so I was playing jazz, and I went to New York City, and I was playing jazz, and that was the thing, you know. I got a scholarship from Dr. Billy Taylor, and so I was a jazz piano player. And back then, that was really something cool, you know. I was following like Miles Davis and Pat Metheny, and I don't know, all these great players. But then you see what happened. Okay, you know how trends are, and there became the new trend of what they called smooth jazz, cool jazz, and there was Kenny G, and I kind of look like Kenny G. So people, I was like, no man, I play like this edgy, you know, avant rock, you know, we're making a statement kind of jazz, and people were like, no. Jazz is for when you're shopping for soap. Just lay back. Oh, we've got some smooth jazz in the lounge, you know. So all of a sudden, I was like, no, I can't take that. And see, at that same time, what happened was the world music scene started to get big. Okay, reggae, African music, Latin music. For some reason, I knew a bunch of cab drivers from West Africa. And one day, one of them calls me up. He says, Ali, you got to go to the studio right now. There is a man, he has come over from Nigeria. Okay, and I said, what? And I got there, and so long story short, I got hired by a band from Lagos, Nigeria, to play African music. Amazing. Okay, so for about 10 years, I worked for Interscope Records, Tough Gong Records, which is Bob Marley's label. Okay, wow. So I'm traveling all over the world, doing world music, and then I come back one day, and I get a call from Tony Timpone. Tony Timpone from Fangoria Magazine. And he says, hey, we want you to come to a convention. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Another person hit me up and said, did you sign this picture? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you're the guy that played the first Jason Voorhees. I said, yeah, that's me. But I never signed any autographs. So apparently somebody was forging my autographs. Okay, somebody was out there forging my autographs, so we got to the bottom of that. We found out who it was. He said, oh, third party, this, that. I got him to return some of the money. But so it dawns on me now, wow, there's people paid $50 for my autograph on eBay. What's going on here? You know, this is something else. Being a musician, you know. So Tony invited me to go to the Meadowlands, and they had an event like this at the Meadowlands. And there's Betsy Palmer's there, Tom Savini's there, Kane Hodder is there. Okay, so now I'm thinking, you know what? I need to do something for the horror community that somehow ties me into the whole thing. And I don't think a reggae band is really gonna be the direction. So that's how I thought about first Jason, you know, and I said, and I took my keyboard, I took my keyboard and I put it through a guitar distortion. And I just started, you know, experimenting with taking a synthesizer and using guitar distortion just to make it sound loud and crazy. And I suggest you do the same because it's an amazing thing. You could distort anything. And now I'm not the first person to do that, by the way. If you go all the way back, one of the first punk bands of all time, they're called the Streamers. That's right. The Streamers from Los Angeles. They have a very famous logo. The Streamers. It's like the guy with the hair going on. Anyway, so yeah, they didn't even have guitar players. They only had keyboardists like me. So there you go. So we came up with our first album, Jason Is Watching, and then we came out with Lord of the Lake. People loved that. Then we came out with 2 videos, and Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills calls me up and says, "We want you to sing on this song. It's called Thank God It's Friday." So the next thing you know, now we're opening for Ice Nine Kills and all that good stuff. Somehow we got signed to a label last year. CDN Records signed us, and our new album, Into the Fray, the guy from CDN, he says, "Hey, why don't you ask Harry Manfredini, the soundtrack guy, you know, just say, you know, what, contribute something." So I thought Harry was going to give us like one introduction for the whole album. That would have been lovely. So he calls me up and says, "Ari, look in your inbox." He had given us a song for each song. He had listened to each one of my songs and made his own little overture.
Oh my God.
You know, I can't tell you how gratified, because he's like my uncle. He's got to be, he's like, what is he? He's in his 80s. He took the time to do that. I can't tell you, in my life, there's so many wonderful people I've had in my life. 2 of the most wonderful people are Harry Manfredini and Betsy Palmer. 2 people who went out of their way to help me no matter what. And like, it's hard to express. You know, every time you see a movie, you're watching a family of people that got together and created something together and expressed themselves together. And then when they say it's a wrap, it's like dust in the wind. And the only thing that brings it back together is you watching it, and it brings that family back together. And it's where those imaginations meet. That's where the magic happens.
Do we have any audience questions? Anyone? Jason
Jason
Voorhees.
Voorhees.
How long did the makeup process take?
Oh, that's a great question. It's Tom Savini, the special effects maestro, created the Jason character. And in fact, he even created the concept for the second scene where Jason unsuccessfully attempts to kill Alice. But so first they cast my head, and they created an alginate mask. So that whole process of casting my head and creating the mask took months, in fact. We worked together in Connecticut. Sean Cunningham had bought Tom a little studio. So we were out in the middle of the woods, literally. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. And so then when they got the mask together, each time we would apply it, it would be about 4 hours. So, but for me, I was always having fun and having a good time. You know, Tom Savini, I can't express, to be a kid in the 1970s and to be hanging out with Tom Savini, I mean, it was like being just the best big brother of all time. Him and Tasso Stavrakis, it was like the Cheech and Chong of horror, hanging out with the 2 of them. But so they made it a lot of fun. But yes, the process took about 4.5 hours because you got the prosthetic, you got the glass eye, you got the false teeth. But I do hasten to point out that there's a lot of people who have done special effects work who had to go through a lot more than I did. Like just anybody from Planet of the Apes. I mean, I had it easy for sure. And the whole thing with Friday the 13th is that it was like a haunted house. We had to create an effect quickly, and because we didn't have a big budget, and we just wanted to do what was most effective, and plus the prosthetics weren't waterproof, so it had to be done and one and done, guys.
So this is a baby panel. We only have a few minutes.
A baby panel for the baby Jason.
Baby panel for baby Jason. I promised Jason Voorhees he could do this. So put on your head and your mask and come over here.
Oh, yeah.
So to wrap us up, we're going to the Delve deck. The Delve deck.
The Delve
deck is a deck of cards from Delve deck. From the company Boardwalk. Boardwalk is an LA-based small business, LA-based artist-owned small business.
Oh, very cool.
And they got these conversation starter cards. And so I'm just going to grab a bunch, I'm going to shuffle it, and then Jason Voorhees is going to draw one and we're going to answer it.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Jason Voorhees.
I think it's very exciting because I don't even know what this is going to be.
Is this a Camembert or is this Emmentaler or Jarlsberg? I've often wondered. It's a Jarlsberg cheese, is it not? Or is it Emmentaler? Wow.
All right.
What a nice fondue
Mr.
that would
Voorhees,
make.
pick a card and then I'll read it.
You know, Betsy loved a good fondue.
That's the one?
I read it.
Yes, take off your mask and I'll put the... Read it.
What are the most thankful that what are you most thankful that you learned as a kid?
Oh.
What am I most thankful that I learned as a kid? Gosh, the most thankful that I learned as a kid. I would say that imagination is relevant and is significant and is transitional and transformational, and that when we use our imagination, then we're allowing ourselves to be free. And when we're giving ourselves that freedom, we're actually empowering others to be free as well. So the imagination in which all possibilities are capable of being achieved, and not to doubt and to think that almost because as artists the only limitation is your imagination. So when when the imagination of the artist is somehow reaches the imagination of the audience, and that's where that magic happens. And you never know, you might come up with an idea like wearing a large piece of cheese on your head on top of yes. Like who came up with that to begin with in Wisconsin? And then to imagine that hundreds of people would sit in the stadium and and have a huge piece of cheese on your head, that's using your imagination. And see, that's when people have, surrealism should be part of our lives, because that's who we are as human beings. We're not just in survival mode. And maybe we need to do imaginative and creative things so that we lead the whole earth, all the creatures, and all the environment can be led by the imagination of human beings. So that's the greatest thing that I ever learned.
See, that's a great question and a great answer. First, Jason will be signing today and tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so make sure you stop by his table if you haven't. I'm sure most of you have already.
Yeah.
Give it up, guys.
Thank you.